Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, good whatever time of the day you are tuning in to episode 33 of Rock the Cash Bar. How you doing, Diane?
I'm doing good. Happy Labor Day.
It's nice, isn't it? We made it
Yeah.
all the way through to Labor Day.
Yeah.
We've been quarantined from St. Patrick's Day all the way through to Labor Day.
I had a feeling it was going to happen. I'm going to say I'm not shocked. I had a feeling we'd still be doing it.
I didn't.
No.
I wouldn't have thought, no, not even for a second. I didn't dream this was going to be going on for so long. I don't know. I had it in my head when things first shut down and we went into quarantine. I don't know why, but I thought, yeah, I'll take 2 weeks off. Like it didn't, I don't know. It just slowly dawned on me that it's going to be much, much, much longer.
It could have been short. It could have been short, but we don't listen. If we had done what Wuhan had done and just shut the fuck down, completely down. Oh, Andy's in the waiting room. Nice. We could be out of this, but we don't listen. This is America. We have too many freedoms. We don't want to listen.
Well, I think part of it, like the reason that Wuhan can shut down completely is because the people in Wuhan know what they're doing in Wuhan. They're like, yeah, we've been eating bats. Like, that's not good. We need to shut this whole thing down. I've always thought it was a little bit crazy that we eat raw bats.
Yeah, this is on us, guys.
We'll be over here if you need us. But I've been going, like everybody's going crazy. But I read an article in Texas Monthly because I was out in my little tiny like urban yard, and all of the lizards are brown now, and they're usually green. So I started reading about it. There was an article in Texas Monthly. It says like the green lizards have been displaced by the new brown lizards that you see everywhere. And there's so many more of them, right?
Yeah.
And what's happening is they're coming over in potting soil from the Caribbean, like they're coming over from the Bahamas and Cuba. So in the bottom of those great big bags of soil that we're bringing in, because it's such fertile soil, there's these little lizard hatchlings. And then you go to the Home Depot and you buy it and you spread the soil, you're spreading these lizards that are much faster and more aggressive than the green lizard that's native to this part.
Aren't the green lizards called like anole, or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's anole. I don't quite know how it's pronounced, but it's ANOLE.
Yeah.
But the green, like I thought that the brown ones were just, I thought that they were chameleons. So I thought that the green lizards had just turned brown, maybe because it's so hot or because
right. They got sunburned.
or people aren't out chasing them. I was just like, we've just left the lizards alone for so long that they decided we don't need to be chameleons anymore. There's no need to hide in the green grass. Can just be brown.
My friend's little boy catches them, and he's like, you can catch the green ones. You cannot catch the brown ones. Like, they're uncatchable.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I haven't been able to catch a brown one, but I caught green ones when I was a kid. But what's amazing about it is this article that I read said that they're different. Like they're completely different. So the brown ones have taken over the ground where they're the fastest and the most aggressive, and the green ones have moved up into the trees.
Mm.
The brown ones also, one of their favorite meals is the eggs of the green lizards.
Oh.
So yeah, I know, it's kind of sad.
They're gonna go extinct.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that there is a lizard war going on in my patio. And if you told me when I was 15 years old that I could spend the whole summer of my 40th year day drinking and watching lizards fight, I would have absolutely signed me up. But I hate it. It's awful. That's how ungrateful I've gotten in quarantine. I can't even enjoy a massive reptile fight.
When everything gets back to normal, you're gonna be like, man, I miss the days where I could just drink all day and watch lizards.
I really could. Like I've got a great big box of like this. We bought new washer and dryer. Like I could make a huge big, like, what's it called? Not an atrium, but a big diorama. Right?
Yeah.
And I could just load it. I could just catch all the lizards I wanted, all the brown and the green ones, and just throw them in there and let them fight for my amusement or invite the neighborhood guys over to gamble. But I haven't done that because I lack creativity and energy. It's been sapped out of me by this horrible year of our Lord 2020.
We've lost our minds. Look what we're talking about.
I know, it's crazy.
Let's talk about some music.
We've got a great guest today and a great topic today. Let's bring him in. One of my favorite people. Let's hit admit. One of my favorite people, Houston stand-up comedy. An excellent gentleman. Is he there?
Can you hear us, Andy? Hold on, he's muted. Unmute yourself. Hold on. Ask to unmute. I'm going to ask him to unmute. And for the viewers at home, this is there you are.
There he is.
Yeah, very good. How are both of y'all?
Good.
Doing very well. Doing very well. We were just giving you an intro. I never dropped your name. We're thrilled to have legendary Houston stand-up comedian, gentleman scholar, my girlfriend's boyfriend, Mr. Andy Huggins.
Oh.
How are you, Andy?
I am very fine. It's a genuine pleasure to talk to both of y'all under any circumstances. So this is terrific.
So good to see you. We forgot to mention that Andy's most recent big, I can't put words together today. I guess brag is that you were on America's Got Talent and you should have gone to the next round, but they boo-booed that. I don't know what happened.
Well, neither do I, and I would dearly love to sit down with the lady that was my producer and just have her walk me through the process, because for the listeners, I passed the judges part, then I went to the second level, at which point the producers decide who goes on to the third, and I didn't. And the lady thought I was going to go on to the third level, up and up and up until the moment when she told me I wasn't. So I was just curious as to what the criteria was, why she thought I was, who voted, and
Yeah.
I'm curious about it. But it was a lot of fun. It was genuinely more fun than, because for whatever reason I wasn't as uptight or nervous. For some reason, as big a deal as it was, for some reason I was quite relaxed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I took in everything that was happening. It was fun.
Good.
Like one more TV performance would have been wonderful.
Yeah. The audience loved you.
Yeah. The one appearance on TV bumped up the number of gigs and the pay a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm assuming another appearance would have bumped it up a little more.
Those TV creds, man, they work. They help.
Yeah. But it was fun.
Well, let's talk about some Johnny Cash. Andy, why did you choose this song? By the way, we are covering Sunday Morning Coming Down, written by Chris Christopherson. I just ran out of breath. And sung by Johnny Cash.
Yeah. That for me, and I'm guessing at various points in the conversation I'm going to sound melodramatic, but there are no more melodramatic people on this earth than recovering alcoholics. And that song, Sunday Morning Coming Down, sung by Johnny Cash, it's just the truest song that I've ever heard. I mean, it just nails that alcoholic Sunday morning. It nails Sunday morning perfectly. Mm-hmm. And it nails the mood. Every detail is on the money. And and then sung by Johnny Cash, who there's several. Chris Christopherson's version is great. This afternoon I listened to Ray Stevens' version, and there's a punk rock group out of San Francisco about I don't know how long ago called Me First and the Gimme Gimmes.
Oh yeah, Corbin knows who
they
they are.
Version of it, which I just listened to about a half hour ago, which is up tempo. They do it about a minute faster than Johnny Cash.
Right.
The Wikipedia description of the group says that they do a lot of cover songs with a sense of humor. And I was kind of hoping that the joke behind this song, they did it very straight ahead, but it was so fast paced and so loud, exactly the wrong thing you'd want to hear on a Sunday morning when you have a hangover.
Yeah,
exactly
it's for real.
The wrong version of that song you want to hear. So but it was quite good. There's nothing ironic about it or tongue in cheek about it. But yeah, it's just the details and the tone of the song.
Man, when Johnny Cash gets a hold of a song, like we think about his version of Hurt from 9 Inch Nails.
Oh my.
I mean, when he gets a hold of a song, it becomes a different song.
Yeah. And he is so American. Johnny Cash. He's just so American. And, you know, I love things that are American. I love my country and I love our culture.
Yeah.
And I wish I could make references more recent than 40 years ago, but Johnny Cash is so American. Ray Charles is so American. Frank Sinatra is
Right.
so American. And Johnny Cash is just so, and man, you know he lived it. You know he's lived that song.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? You know, Ben and I still drink, but we have all had Sunday morning coming down. It all feels
Absolutely.
like.
And here's what's interesting about the song from my point of view. Right now, I've been sober 32 years. I love Sunday morning. I love holiday mornings, like about 7 when it's just that quiet. It's so peaceful. And I now, as a recovering alcoholic, at peace with a lot of, and again, more melodrama here, but that's just the way it is. To be sober now and to go out on a Sunday morning, you're just kind of like at one with the whole feeling and tone of the morning. When you're hungover, like the Chris Christopherson and Johnny Cash in this song, it's like Sunday morning's mocking you because everything's just fucked up. And you go out there and nothing's, the Sunday morning when you're drunk, the Sunday morning when you're sober, it's the same Sunday morning, but your frame of mind just takes it in differently. And it's like that Sunday morning, he's being mocked. He's being mocked and he's being reminded. I think twice he mentions, the past that he lost.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into the lyrics. Let's go through them.
Sure. Sunday Morning Coming Down by Chris Christopherson, made famous by Johnny Cash. Well, I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head that didn't hurt.
There you go. Raise your hand if you've been there.
Exactly. You were talking about it's just the song is just so true. That reminds me of like the famous Hemingway line. Like I start off just trying to write one true sentence. Like this song kicks off with like the ultimate true sentence. Like,
well, the first three things he describes are just on the goddamn money. It's Sunday morning with a hangover. Well, go ahead with the rest of the.
And the beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I had one more for dessert.
Yeah.
Yep.
The key to drinking beer for breakfast is to make sure you weren't putting your ashes out in it.
The night before, yeah.
I have picked up the wrong beer can.
Oh,
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah. It makes me think of and we'll get into this more. Since having a kid and just being older, I cannot take hangovers anymore. You cannot be hungover with a screaming baby. I mean, you'll do it once and you'll be like, fuck that. I'm just not going to drink anymore because I cannot do this. But I still remember back in the days when I would have hangovers and I would just deal with them. And the worst thing I would do every time is I always thought a bath would make me feel better. And so I'd get into the bathtub, but I was also thirsty and dehydrated. So I would drink hot bath water right out of the bath faucet. Hungover, like chugging hot bath water. I was such a miserable mess.
When I used to get horrendous hangovers, there was no way I could turn my head that didn't hurt. But for some reason, the hangovers kind of ended, but I was painfully dehydrated.
Yeah.
When I got up in the morning, I mean, painfully dehydrated. When I quit drinking, Jack Daniels and Gatorade just took a bad financial hit. I used to guzzle. Oh, it hurt so bad. And isn't it remarkable about us human beings that you could experience a hangover one time and actively go out and seek to do it again.
Exactly. So like who smokes their second cigarette? It's crazy to think about that.
Yeah.
You figure that first hangover, because nauseous, the head hurts, you're shaking, you can't focus.
And if it's bad enough that you're throwing up. When I throw up, I'm like, that's it. Whatever I did, I'm never doing again.
Do it again.
Cry. Yeah. And I would do it again, like back in the early 2000s when I was first doing comedy, I would go to bed at 3 a.m., get up to go to work at 6, and sometimes put on the same clothes that smelled like smoke from being at Rudyard's the night before because they still smoked inside. And then I remember sitting at my desk doing this until about 12. And then at 12, I would get a wind and I'd be okay. And by 6:30 p.m., I was back at the comedy club drinking again. I would just do it on a cycle.
Your head in the toilet wondering where you're going to drink that night. I mean, it's insane, but that's who too many of us are.
Yep.
That you would never experience one hangover. And specifically, I mean, you can sit around and go, where did this goddamn sore throat come from? Where did I get this cold? You know exactly where the hangover came from.
Yeah.
And I would go out and court it. Like you say, 12 hours later, let's go do this thing.
Yeah, your body finally heals and you're like, cool, let's ruin you again.
Oh, when I became dehydrated, that was just awful. Just awful.
All right, let's keep going.
Then I fumbled in my closet through my clothes and found my cleanest dirty shirt. I always thought when I first became aware of this song in my 15, 16, I always thought that was the funniest line in the song. I really, really liked that. I fumbled in the closet through my clothes and found my cleanest dirty shirt. I think I've done that too.
Oh yeah. When I first met Corbin, he had no clothes hanging. He would have a pile of clean clothes in his closet because that's where he would just dump them after he washed them. And then he'd go put on a wrinkled shirt and he's like, but it's clean. It's from the clean pile.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. When I was deep into the cycle of drunk, hungover, for some reason, laundry was the first victim. Laundry never was a top priority.
Yeah.
And you'd go looking for the cleanest. And, oh boy, sometimes that was a
lot of sniffing.
Yeah. I think I was at home and had been out the night before. And I think my mom caught me sniffing a shirt to see if it was, what's wrong with you? That is kind of pathetic, just sniffing a shirt to see if it's suitable for a drunk to wear.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just going to the bar. I'll be fine. The other drunks won't mind.
Yeah.
Then I washed my face and combed my hair and stumbled down the stairs to meet the day.
Yes. Yeah. And stumble. And, you're going outside thinking something's going to be different.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can make the change.
Real quick, one of the interesting things about this song to me is absolutely no mention of women, sex, relationships, romance, plays no part. He's Chris Christopherson, who played a bar the night before, and women aren't. I mean, that's how narrow and lonely his life had become at that point. No women. Has he ever written a song where women weren't?
Yeah, right.
Attention? But no, this is I took an acting class one time, and I got in an argument with the acting teacher. I was horrible. I was just starting out, but I did a monologue from the play Harvey, and in it, it's right at the beginning of the play where he's talking to a woman over the phone, and the acting teacher asked me, "Well, what's your motivation?" And we got in an argument because he said, well, his motivation is he's trying to get laid with this lady. And speaking as a recovery, I said, that's not his motivation. His motivation is looking for somebody to drink with. That's what he's doing. And that's what it gets down to,
Yeah.
You just want that, Lord, he was wishing he was stoned. He's to that point to where it's all about getting over the drunk and then getting drunk again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And finding somebody to give you permission to do it.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing it alone. It's okay. This person's right here with me. It's fine.
Yeah, we got in a long argument about it. No, he's trying to get laid. He says, I've attended AA meetings. Well, I've been drunk. I always thought just a completely irrelevant bypass, a side subject. If they ever did the play Harvey, where that was his motivation, the whole play.
Yeah.
I want to get drunk. Harvey, L.O.P. Dowd is so nice and so considerate of and that's not a drunk. We're the most selfish people.
Yeah.
In the world.
I'm saying, like, yes, you are. And no, I know what you mean though. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Chris Christopherson, I mean, that's how extreme the situation is he was at a bar last night singing
Right.
and he came home alone.
Yeah.
That ain't right.
That's why we do it. I'd
Yeah.
smoked my mind the night before with cigarettes and the songs I'd been picking.
Yeah.
But I lit my first and watched a small kid playing with a can that he was kicking. Then I walked across the street and caught the Sunday smell of someone's frying chicken. And it took me back to something I'd lost somewhere, somehow along the way. I mean, that's the loneliness you're talking about there for sure.
Yeah, there's another reference to, I think, the last line of the song. Nothing to me is more Sunday morning than frying chicken. That is Sunday morning to me. When growing up, when we would visit my dad's mom, that was Sunday afternoon was fried chicken. Not just going out and getting fried chicken, frying chicken. That's just so Sunday to me. I don't know if that's a Southern thing or.
Well, yeah. Well, what's funny to me is that, to me, this shows how late he slept in, because this is lunchtime. Sunday morning, you smell bacon, especially in the South. And so if he's finally getting up and walking around, sees kids playing, he smells fried chicken, I'm like, hey, buddy, it's lunchtime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And he's got nowhere to go to eat or have fried chicken, or he's going to take a stroll around the city, try to get his head together.
Yeah, it sounds like he's got motivation to, like, wherever he's staying, it sounds like he can't hang around there and be all hungover all day long.
No,
like there's somebody who's just like, you got to get out of here. You got to go do something.
Yeah. And you get out and what do? Nothing. And you end up, walking for as long as you walk. You end up back at your goddamn apartment and you look at those dirty clothes and think you ought to go to the laundromat or something. That ain't happening.
Yeah.
Probably ends up calling a buddy, that might have some pot.
For sure.
Or might meet and have a drink with them.
Mm-hmm.
I've
been a bartender for many, many years now. And Sunday is always the weirdest day because the liquor stores are closed. So the people who are like the isolationist drinkers, like the people who buy a bottle and that's their night every night, they can't do that on Sunday. So they have to come into the bar for it's the only day that they go into a bar is on Sunday. And they're crazy.
Are they waiting for you when the bar opens?
For sure. Yeah. Some of them will be waiting for you when the bar opens, but then there are others that, because they're used to getting, blackout bombed in their apartment or their house, they don't know how to be in public at all. So they'll get, I've had people that'll come in and get really, really drunk and kind of abusive, or at least like bothersome to other people. So you ask them to leave and you show them the door, and they'll be back the very next Sunday with literally no recollection. Like they think it's their first time walking in there. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big book, the AA big book, used to refer to people waiting for the bars to open. There was one passage they referred to those guys as the misery parade, as they just kind of circled the block waiting for the Sunday bar to open, the misery parade.
I want to get into some of our personal stories after we get through the lyrics, so don't let me forget to push that.
Okay.
I want to know if Andy's been blackout, but we'll get there.
On a Sunday morning sidewalk, I'm wishing, Lord, that I was stoned, because there's something in a Sunday that makes a body feel alone. That is true. I think it's because Sunday's supposed to be like the family day, the religious day. Like that's right there in you. And if you're living outside of that rhythm.
Yeah, even if you're an atheist, I guarantee you, you just kind of feel that's the atmosphere, that's the tone, that's the feel. And there are church bells ringing.
Right.
While you're out and about. And
there should be a sense of community no matter what your belief system is.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, if you're kind of at peace with the way you are and your life is, then you just kind of flow into that whole feeling, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
If you're in conflict, if you're unhappy, if you're hungover, you're just in conflict with the whole vibe of the city or your neighborhood or whatever.
Right.
And like I said, it's mocking you, or you feel like you're being mocked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand the tone of this is really just a depression too. I mean, not even so much an anger, because the anger would only be at yourself, but just a depression of like, why can't I get into the rhythm of this happy day? Everyone's happy. They're not at work. everyone's playing, everyone's having a great time, and I am miserable.
No,
Yeah.
and dwelling on the way it used to be, or the dreams he used to have. And that's an unhappy place under the best of circumstances if you're a drunk. And that's where we all go when you're a drunk. You're always going back to the past because the present is too unpleasant, and the future is kind of hard to imagine because what in the silence of your apartment, you're drunk,
Right?
and you're not going to go anywhere because you're a drunk, so you can't think about the future. The present is miserable. So what you got? You got the past.
Yeah.
Was,
Dwell on the good old days.
Yeah, it was. There were possibilities in the past. Man, when you're out of possibilities, that's a miserable fucking place to be.
You sort of put yourself in that place, because if you're trying to escape the present, which is what you're doing when you're abusing drugs and alcohol, then there can be no future. Like, you're not planning for a future. So like you say, like, all there is the past to dwell on.
Yeah. You probably quite often, if not every time, distort the past in your own mind to make it come out a little pleasant. Again, more melodrama, but it's a fucking miserable, unhappy life to be a drunk, to be an alcoholic. It's just unhappy in the extreme.
Even, did you think being an alcoholic, even when, because you get drunk to feel happy, were you happy when you were drunk?
Maybe. And as the disease progressed, less and less so. But I think maybe in any given evening, the first drink or two, and assuming everybody's pretty much on the first drink or two page, then it was fun.
You're with your friends too. You're back with your people.
And we were great company. No, to go back specifically to the workshop days, which was I got to Houston and at the workshop in '81. A lot of fun.
Yeah, can we name drop your famous friends who Andy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Andy's speaking from really kind of famous experience here. Like, you drank with some of the legends of the Too Much Fun Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? They were all just so funny. Nobody laughed more than I did. I guarantee you, nobody in the history of the world ever laughed more than I did with Jimmy and Bill, Riley Barber, who made me laugh more than anybody. Gosh, he's funny.
For those who don't know, that's Jimmy Pineapple and Bill Hicks, by the way. Andy's humble. I'm a bragger.
But so it's fun in it. But among some of those people I just mentioned, their drinking got worse and worse, and it became not fun. Yeah. It became, Sunday morning coming down. It wasn't Saturday night having fun.
Yeah.
Sunday morning coming down, and each in our own way. I mean, Bill, Jimmy, and I were so close, and in our sobriety, we became close again. But in our drunkenness, we were just off in three different directions dealing with it, and it wasn't fun anymore. It, generally speaking, there was a time when you walked into the club, people were glad to see you.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point of when you walked into the club, it was like, oh shit.
Oh shit. We've seen that happen. I'm not going to name drop any friends, but we've seen that happen over the years with certain friends where I'm always happy to see them, but when you're looking at their drink count, like, here we go. It's coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoever walk into the room and people say, well, by the time I settle my check, I'm out of here before I'll have just enough time to visit a little bit, then I'm out of here. So, it's
crazy.
It was fun for a while. And I tell you what, every once in a while, apropos of who knows what, a memory of those days, the unhappy part will just pop into my fucking head out of nowhere. For no reason. I'll just remember something stupid or dumb or ugly or unpleasant that I did because I was drunk. It just, pop into my head, and it's
Isn't it
depressing.
the worst? I mean, I think that happens to all of us. Like, it like hits you out of like comes like just shooting out of your subconscious. Like me and Sarah Talamash call them cringe moments. You'll just remember
Oh yeah,
something and you're like, God, what I give to take that back? You know, it's just like, why won't I ever forget what I did or what I said
yeah.
or yeah.
And you know, at some point, depending on what you're talking about and how it occurred, you know, at some point you just got to forgive yourself and say, you know, it was what it was at the time, and
Yeah.
that's not me anymore. At least that aspect of me. But God, I have too many of those, and they'll never, like you say,
Well,
they'll never leave me.
Well, I think you're right. And it's something that we learn in therapy is that it keeps coming back because it wants to be addressed. And I think you're right. If you say, okay, I forgive you for doing that. It happened. I accept it. We can let it go now. I think it'll stop shooting up to the front of your brain anymore. If you,
Yeah, I ought to be very stern seriously be very stern with myself the next time.
we're
Something.
supposed to approach it with love, not like, get out of here. That was bad. You're supposed to be like, I love myself now, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, too many of those memories. But to get back to the initial point, it was fun for a while.
I have so many great memories of the Laugh Stop. I have so many great, I mean, to me, it was like some of the best years of my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Booze, and drinking just, plays a real interesting part in most people's lives. And there's a delicate balance. If you're an alcoholic like me, there's a delicate balance that needed to be walked, and I was unable to do it
Yeah.
for a long while until I just quit altogether.
Can I ask you what prompted you to do that? And let's do a little bit of the backstory with you. You're at the workshop, and this is the '80s when stand-up is absolutely huge, and you're running with a real fast crowd. You're running with really successful comedians like Jimmy Pineapple, Bill Hicks, whose legend only seems to grow. Sam Kinison was around when you were doing that. Sam never got sober, right? Like what was it, like a professional thing? Like when you say you were going back to the club and people weren't as happy to see you as they'd been the year before or the time before? Like
I came off.
Was there a moment that?
Yeah, I just interestingly realized this. I came off the road from Florida on a Sunday morning, got into town on a Sunday morning, immediately started drinking by myself. At some point, blacked out, as was my habit. And I woke up Monday morning. That could have been the song. I woke up Monday morning. I just had nothing left. I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted emotionally, financially. I came off the road. I had $20 in my pocket after 2 weeks on the road. And I can't do this anymore. I just can't do this anymore. That was April of '88. And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just exhausted, bankrupt. That's the word that the big book uses a lot, bankrupt. I was bankrupt.
Like emotionally bankrupt, everything.
Emotionally, financially bankrupt. I was tired of calling people and asking them what happened last night. I just was done. I was just done.
Is that what they call a low bottom? Because like you didn't get in a car crash and kill anybody, but it was a bottom.
That's kind of like a high bottom. I didn't kill anybody.
High bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. But there were bottoms before that why didn't that get me to stop? Well, again, all you have to do is not just forget the hangover. You wake up the next day and you remember some of the awful behavior. And you know why you did it, because you don't do that sober.
Yeah.
Why did you go out and put yourself in a position to where you're probably going to do something similarly awful? But, you're an alcoholic. Part of it is a physical addiction, and part of it is, God knows what else was at work in it's in my family to a big degree.
Right.
There's 6 of us, 6 kids, and 3 of us are alcoholics, 2 in recovery. I had an uncle and a couple of cousins. I had a cousin, poor Pat, drank herself to death.
Wow.
And she was told. She had a family, and she was told. She was told, this is what's going to happen if you don't quit drinking. You're going to fucking die. She said, I'm not going to quit drinking. I'm not, and she had a family and everything.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. If anybody listening wants to get a deep dive, many episode podcast into addiction, Stephanie Whittle's podcast called Last Day. She did it because her brother was Harris Whittles, who died of a heroin overdose. We all know Harris. But it doesn't just go into the opioid epidemic. It goes into like all facets of addiction. And unfortunately, alcohol and drugs is the only addiction that kills us. So it gets a lot of attention, but there's so many different levels of addiction. Like some people work too much. Yeah. They're addicted to work. And we don't give that serious thought because it doesn't kill most people, Yeah. Anyway, it's called Last Day. Very good podcast.
Yeah, AA meetings, I was fascinated by people who were functional alcoholics but that went to work every day and was able to. It's so funny. Bill and I attended meetings downtown, and we'd listen to. We thought we were we're comics, we're artists, we're outlaws. And then you sit in a meeting and you hear this very staid-looking banker in a three-piece suit talking about exactly the same shit that you think, that you feel, that you go through, and you say, okay, maybe we're not special in the way that we think we're special, but it's,
right.
Like I say, I remember one guy specifically, kind of looked like James Thurber, but banker, just a nightmarish alcoholic story, but he was able to function on a day-to-day basis for the longest time.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you have the artist fear that if you stopped drinking, if you stopped using, that you wouldn't be funny anymore, you wouldn't be entertaining, or that you wouldn't have the confidence to do it anymore?
I know a couple of people very specifically who had that fear and spoke about it out loud. I didn't, and I can't tell you why. I just felt like if I got my head clear, because thinking funny is something I've always done. I mean, I was thinking funny at age 7 and 8, making friends laugh, making teachers laugh on occasion. So I was funny long before I took my first drink. So I wasn't performing comedy. That's a little weird, but not for long. I fell back into it, sober, and being sober and getting back and as a comic gave me a great excuse to get out of bars, leave shows immediately after I'm done, because I could always say, I can't say, well, y'all are kind of boring. I would always put it on me and say, I can't be around booze. So let me get out of here. And then I was very lucky in a couple of ways. Blessed, as Ron Schock would correct me. He'd always say, no, you're not lucky, you're blessed. I was always real comfortable being by myself.
Yeah.
So going from that, I liked hanging out. I still like hanging out. I like visiting with people and talking, but I'm real comfortable being by myself. So when I quit drinking and had to leave shows and go back to my apartment by myself, not a problem.
It wasn't a depressing thing. You were
no, it wasn't.
Fine. Yeah.
It wasn't. And, not surprisingly, if you're not drinking, people who are do become boring at some point.
Right.
During the evening.
Yeah.
So again, you settle up your check and get out of there before that arrives. And you know what? I've participated in enough stories. I don't need to be around for more stories. If something interesting happens, you can tell me about it the next day. I'm perfectly fine with that. I've lived my stories.
Yeah. And you're like,
on Facebook. I'll read about it in the morning.
Yeah, and you're like, that's a funny one. I had a better one. We won't get into it, but yeah.
When Bill and I started going to meetings, Steve Epstein said, "Boy, y'all must be the star of those meetings with the stories you have." And Bill, I said, "Steve, not even close. There are people with spectacular drunken lives, losing homes, families." I listened to a woman one day talk about waking up one morning in bed with 3/4 of the California Angel infield. I can't, I can't stop stories like that.
I didn't drink hard enough.
Yeah, I was loud at Beer Paredes one night. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my best shot. But yeah, and these are, people that weren't artists. They weren't performers. They're just ordinary people that just life.
Like going hard. I mean, that 0 to 60 personality type. I mean, I'm not an alcoholic, and I have so many friends like you that are in AA and sober, and they all say I can pour a drink and then forget that I poured it, and it just sits on my nightstand all night long, and I just forgot to drink it. And alcoholics are like, that would never happen. How did you forget that it was there?
Yeah. First of all, the drink never would have left your hand to place down anywhere, at least not that first drink.
Yeah.
And to get back to the workshop, quite a few of the comics that partied hard got sober at some point, or cut down. The guys and ladies that weren't alcoholics but drank a lot, they cut back just because you're getting older. You just can't, like you said, you can't do it anymore when you get to a certain age. But those of us who were alcoholic, quite a few of us got happily got sober.
Yeah, it's great to see so many of you who did.
It was a wonderful. Yeah, that was a wonderful turn in all our lives. But
let's finish out these lyrics. Where did we leave off? I don't even remember.
We left off in the middle of the chorus. The next one is, and there's nothing short of dying that's half as lonely as the sound of a sleeping city sidewalk and Sunday morning coming down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's poetry.
Yeah.
It really is. It really is. It's incredible stuff. Like the story behind this song, I mean, we'll get to it. I mean, there's only one more verse to go, but the story behind how this song got from Chris Christopherson to Johnny Cash is absolutely legendary.
Yeah. When we get there, I need you guys to piece it together for me, because I kept reading all these different stories and I'm like, okay, what happened? What's the real story?
Yeah. It's kind of disputed. Let's finish it up.
Okay.
So in the park, I saw a daddy with a laughing little girl who he was swinging, and I stopped beside a Sunday school and listened to the songs they were singing. Then I headed down the street, and somewhere far away, a lonely bell was ringing, and it echoed through the canyon like the disappearing dreams of yesterday. Like that's
again
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, back to yesterday, and family, church, and again that lonely bell.
Yeah.
You're kind of mocking them.
But it's straight up poetry. Like you say, I saw a daddy with a laughing little girl. Well, that's the life he's missing out on. Like you say, there's no mention of a woman. There's no mention of romance or anything, in this song. He's just entirely alone.
Yeah, no mention of his family. I mean, he is alone and watching people who aren't alone. It's a lonely fucking life being a drunk. I wanted to mention that Chris Christopherson, the lyrics are so great. He comes up with the best titles for songs. Sunday morning coming down, what a great title. The other one that I love is Loving Her Was Easier Than Anything I'll Ever Do Again. What a great lyric. What a great title.
Yeah.
From me and Bobby McGee. Freedom's just another word.
Freedom's
nothing left to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is it's so crazy how we don't really have poets anymore, but we have singers who are poets. And
I think it's because we lost track of the ability to connect in this way. Like that's not what music's trying to do now. Like music is about the best looking guy or the best looking girl with the best set of pipes. Like it's not about who can actually write these songs.
Yeah, this is the kind of song I like. There's nothing. It's completely transparent. It's very direct. It's very simple, yet it's very moving. There's no. I don't care to interpret lyrics or try to figure out what hidden meaning or anything. I don't like that in songs or movies or anything. I like things Kind of like my comedy, just kind of straight ahead, boom. Set up,
Yeah, describe a specific feeling. That's what, like, writing songs, and I've never written a song.
No.
But writing a song must be kind of similar to writing a joke, in the sense that you're trying to strip away all the bullshit. Like you just get down to just the nuts and bolts of the feelings.
Yeah. I was thinking today, every once in a while as a writer, y'all know this, you'll just almost stumble across perfection. And in that first verse, when the words that rhyme also very specifically describe what he wants to describe: hurt and dessert and shirt. I mean,
right.
How perfect did that work out for Christopherson?
Oh, it's like solving a Sudoku puzzle or something, where you're like, God, got it.
It's exactly perfect lyrics for what he wants, and the fucking thing rhymes.
Yeah.
He had to do a little happy dance around wherever he was writing. If he was writing in his apartment, he comes up with that.
I love a good songwriter. We talk about it a lot on this podcast, wondering if people write music first and then just try to add words to fill it, to make it work. And I was like, this just seems like something that was written completely first, and not, the music wasn't thought of. I don't know how this works. They're geniuses. I don't know how people do this.
I did. Well, the music part of it really puzzles me. But yeah, I'd be willing to bet money that the words came first.
Yeah.
They're just too specific. That's not something that you come up with while you got a tune. How can I make it fit the tune?
Yeah.
That sounds like I need a tune to fit to fit what I just wrote. But you, Dianne, I thought I caught you taking a real deep breath when it was mentioned about Chris Christopherson as an actor, or his. I was watching the TV commercial movie station I have. They did the first 3 A Star Is Born, and I was watching a little bit of the one with him and Streisand. And he just went all out sex symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it didn't sustain, but man, it was all there, and he didn't. I think that was the whole reason for him to do the part, is he was going for a sex symbol acting career.
You think so? That's why he did it.
He
was easy on the eyes, man.
Oh yeah, a poet, easy on the eyes, Oxford scholar.
Yeah.
Could have taught at West Point if he wanted to. Was a helicopter pilot for the military, though he wasn't in the military, which is how he delivered the song, supposedly Johnny Cash.
Right.
Yeah.
He landed on Cash. It's probably a helicopter, and he had the demo tape in one hand, a beer in another.
Yeah.
And now Christopherson said, I don't think so.
That's what I'm hearing, that he says that's not the story, but is it Johnny Cash that says that's the story?
Yeah, Cash says the story, and his is the better story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's better than, like, Christopherson said, you need 2 hands to fly a helicopter.
You don't do this in a helicopter.
Evidently not. But Cash's story is the better story. So
for sure. And they're both dramatists, so you can be forgiven.
Yeah.
Like they said in Liberty Balance, when legend becomes the fact, print the legend. So go along with Cash's.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of my favorite Andy Huggins stories. Is you actually snuck a line. If I had to point to what made me want to be a comic, it was Billy Crystal hosting the Academy Awards. Ooh. And you actually got a line into his monologue one year, didn't you?
I got a line in one year about Liberty Balance. Interesting. Yeah. That was the year that JFK came out, and the line was, and they changed the setup a little bit, but the way he did it was pretty much Oliver Stone. I won't say Oliver Stone is paranoid, but his next film is The Men Who Shot Liberty Valance.
I love that line.
Actually, I'll brag a little bit. I'm not completely modest. That line was quoted in the New York Times review of the show.
Nice.
The next day. And the writing staff that year won an Emmy for Best Written Special.
Okay, so tell me how so you got a line in, but you weren't on the writing staff? Like, how did that work?
That Dennis Miller used to accept jokes over the fax machine. And if they liked them, they do it in his monologue. So I sent that line to Dennis Miller. So I spent, it's so crazy. I spent like 2 weeks watching Miller every night going, please don't do my line. Please don't do it. I would send lines to Leno. I would send lines to Dennis Miller. Leno did a couple of my lines. Miller actually did one of my lines. Happily not that one. But I would sit and watch every night to see if my line would get on. Until that time when I was sitting there, please, dear God, don't let him do my line.
Yeah.
And he didn't do it. And Crystal did it. And it got a big laugh.
Oh, that's awesome.
The best one was, he was talking about the Crying Game.
The movie?
He said the producers asked me not to give away the surprise plot turn in the Crying Game, but just let me say this, white men can jump.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was a big, and of course, Jesus, that's over fucking 20 years ago, that's over 25 years ago. And at some point, I finally took that out of the resume. I mean, I wrote a joke 25 years ago. Does that get me work? So I stopped.
Well, I was going to say, I can't remember if I've talked to you about this. Like, you're obviously a Houston comedy legend, but when I started doing comedy in 2003, you weren't around. Like, my legendary, like, I say legendary, my most memorable, the best years of my life at the Laugh Stop, like 2003 through 2008. I went to New York in 2008. And I'm like, where was Andy? Because it was when after I came back from New York is when I think I met you. And I'm like, where were you during that chunk of time when I was in the back room of the Laugh Stop with everybody getting drunk?
I wasn't, I don't know. I tried, there's several, and this is after I had quit drinking. I quit drinking in 1988. And so I spent some time wandering in the desert, one might say. I just wasn't I just didn't know what I was doing. All my support system was, Jimmy was in Louisiana and Bill was in New York and then Los Angeles. And I just didn't know. I just kind of lost my moorings for a while. And I would pop in to the Last Stop from time to time. I remember Babbitt tried to get me to show up more often because I was working in the office, but I just wasn't coming by the club.
Yeah.
And I've never been in therapy. I would love to go in therapy sometime before I still have a little bit of memory left and just have a couple of things explained to me as to why I behaved the way I did at certain points.
Well, as someone who's always in therapy, I'll tell you, you can, and it's so easy now because it's all online. It's all like this. You will do it through a Zoom. And what they will do is get you to figure it out. They're so good at guiding conversations till you just start talking and then the answer comes up and you're like, I knew it all along.
Yeah.
But, I highly recommend it.
I may search that out because I couldn't tell you what the hell other than I just wasn't real happy. And this was in sobriety. You don't decide to quit drinking. You quit drinking and then everything.
It's rainbows.
Yeah, hardly.
That's when the work starts because you were self-medicating while you were drinking. You weren't doing the work of like figuring out why you did that in the first place.
Yeah. It's what they call a dry drunk. And I was certainly that. I attended AA meetings, but I never got a sponsor. I never sponsored anybody. I enjoyed meetings, but I didn't do the work. And so I was at loose ends. I don't know. I can't answer that question accurately.
Well, do you remember when you came back and started hanging out with the comics again? Like what year that was? And started doing regular open mics?
One day, I called up my two best friends, Jimmy Pineapple and Don Learned, and I asked them both the same question. Have I ever done anything better than I did stand up? And immediately, without hesitation, evidently this isn't a question that needs to be thought over. They said no. So this was in May of 2010, maybe. Now, from 2004 to 2010, I've been doing a lot of acting with the community theater. So
Yeah.
I was being very creative. I even wrote 2 children's plays that I
Oh,
produced. And I will say, I wrote the lyrics for the songs that this company on stage, they required their children's plays to have songs. So I wrote lyrics for songs. So I was in pretty good shape, but I had drifted away from
I
stand-up.
think that's where maybe I first started meeting you. I can't remember if it was at the, doing comedy, or Jimmy Pineapple would put us together in his movies. Our little
Yeah, we did that one. Dianne and Rob were so funny in a little video. What could it have been? Maybe 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, it was a real short one.
But Dianne and Rob were so funny. Estranged boyfriend, girlfriend, and
Dew
Rob.
and Crystal.
Yeah, Dew, and what was your
Crystal.
Crystal. And I played Crystal's dad. But it was the scene was Rob trying to reconcile and banging on the door, wanting to come in. Gosh, that might have been the first time we met.
It may have been. Oh gosh, I remember those scenes now where it just like opened the crack of the door where I'm just like, "What do you want, dude?" Like, yeah, we were real hillbilly.
Dianne did a take. I'm facing her. I'm playing her dad, and I'm facing her as Rob's banging on the door. And Dianne, Crystal decides, well, I'm going to deal with it. I go talk to her. I'm going to deal with it. And Dianne had such a funny, determined look, pissed off look on her face as she headed to the door. It was so funny.
I'm going to have to pull that up again. I'm going to have to try to find that. Maybe we can put it on the Patreon page if I can find it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, y'all, if they ever do that, you need to check that out. It was written and directed by Jimmy, Rob and Dianne and me, and I'm just pretty much trying to stay out of the way. Nobody does redneck better than Rob.
No.
And it was great. It's great. That might have been the first time we met.
It may have.
I think I was coming around often enough to where I met you at the last stop then.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. I met you in 1998. I think you were still coming around to open mics, and you were
Okay.
one of the first stand-ups that I ever saw live.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Okay.
Like it was
Yeah.
I think you were opening for Kathleen Madigan. Like the first 3 stand-ups I saw were Brian Hersey was the first stand-up I saw live, and then your old friend Riley Barber was the feature that night. And then the next time I came back, you were opening for Kathleen Madigan.
I was going to the Laugh Stop a lot, like before I ever knew I wanted to do comedy. And same thing, the first comics that I saw were like Kathleen Madigan, Wendy Lehman, Joe Rogan, David Tell. Those were like the first ones I had seen live.
Oh, you got off to a great start then.
Yeah.
Got off to a great start. Yeah, I couldn't tell you what my problem was then. 2010, I got back into it full time, full enthusiasm. It's my entire life.
Yep.
Now I'm very satisfied for the most part with it. And I just I need to seek out therapy, and I need help in figuring out there are a couple of periods in my life where I look back and, you talk about unpleasant memories that pop into your head. There are whole years where I think, what the fuck was my problem? What was my problem?
For a whole year.
Years, yeah. So I don't know, I don't think I hurt anybody. I don't think I did any damage to anybody. So
I was gonna say, you're so kind, and I didn't know you as a drinker. Like, we know some of our friends, they get too drunk and they bite, or Sean Rouse was a big biter.
Yeah.
Some of them throw stools. We know those stories.
Yeah.
That's me and Hersey.
Yeah. What did you do? What did you do that you felt so bad about?
Oh, rude behavior with females, certainly. Just being loud.
Okay.
I don't think I ever mauled anybody, but just being rude.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I would think something was funny, and it would come out of my mouth, and then I'd see the look on the person's face, and I'm like, "Oh, I just hurt their feelings. That wasn't
Yeah.
funny. That was mean spirited."
Now, I will say, for the most part, I was a quiet drunk, and there were no outstanding certain. Okay, here goes Huggins with his drunken bit that he does every time. There wasn't anything like that. But if you're drunk 5 nights out of the week for 20 plus years, even if you're basically a quiet drunk, there's going to be a couple of nights when you weren't quiet, and again, those are the memories that pop up. I was a blackout drunk. I think you mentioned that earlier. I one time was talking again to Steve Epstein. He's kind of like the Zelig of these stories, it seems. But I was talking to Steve, and I asked him what happened the night before at the club. He said, "You don't remember?" I said, "No, I blacked out. I don't remember anything." And Steve got real concerned, properly so. "Oh, God, you can't do that. You can't be drinking till you don't remember anything." And this was my alcoholic response at the time. I said, "Steve, no, it's okay. It's okay. I black out every night, so this is not anything. No, this is what I do. I get drunk and I black out. What's the problem?" Great.
Do you
great
hate
alcohol.
the bees for buzzing?
That's a
As if he's supposed to be like, "Oh, okay, never mind.
oh yeah.
That's fine then."
Yeah. So yeah, I say half kiddingly, if I hadn't been a blackout drunk, I'd probably have another 10 minutes worth of material. God knows. God knows what went on. But basically what went on was I would pass out. I'd pass out at bars, and people just kind of move around me. I just head down on the bar at Beer Paredes,
Yeah.
or wherever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, the next day when you wake up, how'd you spend your evening? Well, you're out in public, passed out because you had too much to drink. And
Yeah.
people were probably making fun of you as you were passed out because you were passed out. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll do that again tonight. I hope that same bar stool is, well, evidently it was real comfortable. I have to say, a grateful recovering alcoholic. I think this was something that I needed to go through.
Yeah.
There were some spiritual awakenings that took place. Now, I don't know that I needed to go through it as long as I did. I think I probably could have. I think I learned everything I was going to learn as a drunk probably after 15 years. Those last 5 years weren't really gilding the lily. Is what I was doing at that point.
We're all in the Houston comedy community. We're all glad that you went through it and came back strong, because it's such a treat to have you around.
Well, you're very kind, Dianne, and I'm very blessed to have found Houston, because there've been like 3 generations of comics that I've been around for, and every one of them have been wonderful people and great friends that have taking care of my drunken ass and my sober ass. I'll quite honestly take care of my sober ass on more than one occasion, all 3 generations. So
well, everyone is more than happy to drive your sober ass around. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Whenever Andy needs a ride somewhere, everybody's like, "I'll do it. We got you, Andy."
I'm quite fortunate, quite blessed. And,
sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, I have.
Before we wrap up the song, I don't know if there was any more you guys wanted to say about it, but I do want to sneak in that Johnny Depp snuck into our podcast again. He snuck in during the You're So Vain one, because him and Marilyn Manson did a cover of You're So Vain. But he also did a cover of, let's see, where is it? Chris Christopherson would continue to perform the song on his own, including a 2017 appearance at England's Glastonbury Festival, where he sang it with actor Johnny Depp. I'm like, Johnny Depp, will you just get out of here? What are you doing? He's always just sneaking in and singing really famous songs with famous people.
That's great. That's great.
I don't
Well, I
know.
want to say real quick, Chris Christopherson, I think, is a fine actor. You know, sex symbol period aside. Did you see the movie Lone Star by John Sayles, directed with Matthew McConaughey and Chris Cooper?
I saw it years and years ago. Yeah,
Oh,
I think that was the first time I became aware of Chris Cooper.
Yeah, Chris Cooper and Christopherson was the villain of the piece. Boy, he was good.
Oh yeah, I'll have to watch that. I'll
He
like
was
that.
very good, and Alice doesn't live here anymore. He's a good actor.
Yeah. All right, Ben, you got any more on this before we move on?
I think we got it. I think we did it.
All right. Well, I'm going to do our dressed up like a douche segment, and I'm going to say I'm really mad at myself because I actually saved this one. This dressed up like a douche came from a previous guest that we had on the podcast, your friend, Ben, Christa Monster. I should have done this one during our last episode because it's an INXS song. She said, I used to think that Suicide Blonde by INXS was, the lyric was supersize a blonde. Which I think I relate to that as like, a short, squatty brunette where I'm just like, yeah, bitch, why don't you eat a cookie? Like, let's get this girl.
One time I was riding around with my dad's mom and the radio was on and Granny said, oh, why would anybody shoot Omar Sharif? I go, no, Granny, they didn't shoot Sharif. They shot the sheriff.
I'm trying to hear how she heard that. I shot Omar Sharif. I don't know how she heard it like that.
She was hearing Sharif.
Yeah.
And she added the Omar part. She thought they were talking about Omar Sharif.
All right. I love misheard song lyrics so much. All right, we're going to move on to guilty pleasure songs. Ben, do you have a guilty pleasure song?
I do, and it's a really it's a classic Waffle House song, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about with this one, but for whatever reason, like I think of it as a guilty pleasure song because I would never like roll down the windows and bang it out. But it's Jolene by Dolly Parton, and the only reason I think of it as like how attractive was Jolene that she overshadowed Dolly Parton? If you look at a picture of Dolly Parton in the early 1970s, and it's like, oh yeah, but wait until you see this Jolene. Like this, she's real trouble.
I don't get it.
How could Dolly Parton feel threatened by any woman ever? Like it's a strange little, like I love the song, but it's just really, every time I hear it, I can't stop babbling about that.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Where is this myth Jolene?
With her
She's a
auburn
mermaid
hair.
luring sailors to her death.
Yeah,
and obviously Dolly Parton's quite concerned about it too. This isn't some sort of casual worry. She's just not worried.
Yeah.
She's concerned.
Yeah, she's deathly afraid. Like please don't do it just because you can. Like that easily? How are you going to rip a man away from Dolly Parton?
Dude, my love for Dolly just keeps growing. I'm seriously considering a tattoo. She's just the epitome of the best human being. I love her.
Absolutely the right thing to do.
All right, I'll go next. Mine is so dumb, but I guess it's a guilty pleasure because it's so dumb. In the late 90s, I went through a huge Adam Sandler phase. Like, I bought all of his comedy CDs and I love his songs. So, it's getting closer to the holiday season, and my guilty pleasure song is the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler.
You're not alone. We've all been there. We all went through the big Adam Sandler phase. Dianne, I have a very important question to ask you. Have you ever tried to look at your butthole in the mirror?
I'm shaking my head yes, because I don't want to say it out loud, but yes.
That was the only. I forget what album it was on, but I just remember that being like the biggest Adam Sandler. All of my friends in high school were just like, they just couldn't stop like asking everybody, like, I looked at my butthole in the mirror the other day and blew my mind. I'm like, that's gross. I don't like thinking about that. Please don't bring that up anymore.
We're losing Andy. It's so gross.
I wouldn't be able to think anything. Evidently, I stopped listening to Adam Sandler in good time.
Yeah. My favorite was The Hypnotist with him and Kevin Nealon, where Kevin Nealon plays the hypnotist and Adam Sandler has come in because he wants to quit smoking. And so it's this whole like, okay, close your eyes, deep breaths, and Kevin Nealon keeps farting. It's so juvenile and it's so funny to me still. But his songs, I swear, they're still fun to sing drunk with your friends. I tried it with Corbin. It holds up. Give it a whirl. I watched a YouTube of Adam Sandler singing the Hanukkah song in concert, and it's like you would think he was the Rolling Stones. Like he holds out the microphone, and everybody sings the lyrics. Like it's a good time. Andy, Kevin
Nealon is an amazing stand-up comedian.
Oh,
like it's sometimes like when you talk about like the greatest stand-ups of all time, it's amazing that like I don't think he's the greatest, but it surprises me that he's not on top 10 lists. Like,
I worked with him at the Improv the last time we was in Houston, and yeah, he's real strong.
How is he?
Effortless.
How is he in person? Friendly guy.
Nice guy.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
It's always good to hear.
I was opening. The feature was a guy named Pat Hazlett, who I knew a little bit of, and so the three of us sat around, and it was real pleasant weekend. Yeah.
Nice. Well, good. All right, Andy, do you have a guilty pleasure song?
Okay, bear with me a little bit here. This is probably more grist for this therapy mill. I feel guilty about everything. I'm like a refrigerator door, and guilt is if I'm sitting in a restaurant and a couple 3 tables around start to argue, I'll think it's somehow my fault that they're arguing. I just take on guilt. Having said that, and I really put a lot of thought in it, I don't have guilty pleasures. If I like something, I absolutely, and I watch a lot of crap TV, but I don't feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of songs that are stupid. The best I can do is I know that there are people who would probably try to make me feel guilty about my love of ABBA. And
okay, that's exactly a good.
Yeah.
I don't feel guilty about it, but I have a feeling that they're not held in the highest esteem.
Right. I think I would put ABBA on one too. Like it's one of those things where, like, I don't care that I love it, but I am aware that other people are going to make fun of me for it. Yeah.
Have you ever seen one of their videos? The worst videos.
Yes.
God bless those people who seem okay. They don't know what to do with their hands. They can't dance, or they have the same choreography. They love this move where they're singing back to back to each other, and then they'll do a 180 and sing. That's the most complicated dance move they got. But I have to believe ABBA has to be one of the all-time great sing-along groups, even if you hate them.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you hate them, if Dancing Queen comes on the radio, wherever you are, you're going to sing along. And you're going to sing along.
So I love this band called Erasure, a very, very openly gay new wave band from the 80s. And they did an album called ABBA-esque, where they covered all ABBA songs. And just seeing a flamboyant gay man do some ABBA is just... Like, especially like gimme a man.
Oh.
It's great.
I went to see Mamma Mia with Tommy Drake and his wife when it was in town.
Nice.
4 or 5 years ago, and just a moronic story, but the music's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. I get it.
But that's it. I do not have any films that are bad films that I feel guilty about it. I feel guilty about everything else that happens around me.
Yeah, but not about your...
Yeah, I for whatever reason.
Well, I'm starting to get scared, Ben, that we're going to run... I mean, we're on episode 33. How many guilty pleasures are we going to be able to pull out of each other?
I'm slowly running out.
I'm slowly running out. I'm just going to say, if there's days that we're like, I just don't have one, but I'm always going to keep it in my mind. Like if I hear a song, be like, oh yeah. But now that we have guests on the show, I'm really going to put the heat on them.
Now, when you say guilty pleasure, that's a song that I would think that if somebody asked me about it or asked me if I liked it, I would lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you have songs where you actually lie about liking it?
I'm trying to think. There's a band that somebody will be like, this band sucks. And I'm like, yeah, they totally suck. But I know that there's one song by them that I do like. Like,
Yeah.
I'll have to save it. But there's people make fun of the band Linkin Park, and I'm like, oh, but there's one song that gets me, you know.
Yeah, but it's weird. Like I'll never lie in that direction. Like if somebody asks me, "Do you like this?" I'll never say I like it if I don't. But there's plenty of songs that I'll say, "No, I don't like it," even if I do.
Okay.
Like it's.
Yeah.
I guess that's how my ego works.
Right.
Boy, when I was a kid, growing up in the 60s, there were a lot of one-hit wonders, and the songs were just dreadful.
Yeah.
You know, I liked them. You sing along.
They're usually always just very toe tappy, very catchy, you know.
Yeah.
Can't help it. They make you want to move.
But there came, if you're born in 1950, there came a time in maybe the early 70s where your taste in music was supposed to be more sophisticated. You were you were the Beatles, White Album, or Sgt. Pepper, or whatever. And so maybe a lot of top 40 pop songs were frowned upon.
Right.
But
I think that happens in every generation too. And I think like when disco come out, didn't it seem like a lot of people were like, ugh, like,
yeah,
like people were still listening to Leonard Skinner, and then you're like, you like disco? You know, that's how I imagine it.
I will sing along to YMCA.
Yep.
I don't go through the choreography, but there was a segment on a TV show this morning about Gloria Gaynor, and I Will Survive.
Oh, so good.
I'll sing that at the top of my voice.
Yeah.
And mean it. God damn it.
I love it.
We did it.
We
That
did
is
do
Johnny
it.
Cash
A
and
pleasure.
Sunday morning
A
coming
pleasure.
down.
A pleasure, folks. I appreciate it.
Man, it was
Andy,
so good
you're
to
a
see you.
moonbeam.
Always. Always.
All right. Well, we'll let you go because you're going to go ahead and open mic, right? Don't you got to?
Well, I'm going to go do Rudyard's tonight. Then I'm there this Friday.
Okay.
Show headlining. Then I'm there this Saturday headlining a show. And then 2 weeks after that, I'm going to be at Rudyard's with Bigger Staff.
Nice. Bigger Staff's
really?
back in town. Good.
Yeah, the 26th
Okay.
at Rudyard's. He's
All right.
headlining the show.
If you're in
This Saturday
Houston,
you're
go
headlining?
I'm sorry?
This Saturday you're headlining Rudyard's?
Yeah, it's Saturday the 12th. And then the 26th, I'm featuring for Robert.
Are they doing it outside or safely inside? How's this going?
Safely inside. They're doing a pretty good job. Whoever's emceeing is wiping. They have two mics.
Okay.
The MC's wiping off one that the comics use. There's certain places like the bar upstairs. You can't be standing at the bar. You can be standing at that ledge, sitting at the ledge, but don't be standing at the bar.
Okay.
You gotta have a mask when you come in. I'm wearing my mask up until the moment I go on.
Right. Okay. Well, you stay safe. You got to stay around.
Yeah, and I keep seeing headlines. It's coming back, or it's getting worse, or.
Ugh. All right. Well, if you're in Houston, go see Andy.
Yeah, come to Rudyard's any Monday night. I'm there every Monday night.
All right. Monday night. Well, Andy,
take care.
It was good to see
Thank you, Andy.
I'm gonna let you go, and I'm excited for this to drop.
Okay, when will it drop?
Thursday.
Oh, okay, very good. Very good.
All right, we'll see you. Bye, Andy. Bye.
Bye. Leave.
Oh, I cut him off.
That's all right. He forgives you.
Oh, so we're going to take a sharp turn for our next episode. Next week, we are going back to the 1990s with some R&B, which I don't think we've covered any R&B yet. Have we?
I don't think we have. No, I don't think so.
I don't think anything we've done is considered R&B. And Houston native Jenny Johnson will be joining us. Jenny is a former news producer here in Houston, turned Twitter comedian, turned stage comedian out in Los Angeles. I think we can call her the pride of Baytown. I can't remember if that's where she's from, but it's that area. And it's a Patreon vote week. So Patreon members, listen, I've got 3 songs for you to choose from the early 90s, or just say 90s band Jodeci. I don't know how many people, I'm scared that our Patreon members are going to be like, who? Because, it's your parents, my father-in-law, some other people. So what I'm going to do for these 3 songs is I'm going to print on the Patreon page. I'm going to print the lyrics for each of these 3 songs, so it'll help them choose. Like, oh, let's get into this. So we're gonna. It was really hard to pick Jodeci songs because most R&B songs are about doing some loving. You know what I mean? So I chose "Lately," "Forever My Lady," and "Fiendin'." So "Lately" is about being afraid that a relationship's about to end. "Forever My Lady" is wanting a relationship to live forever, and "Fiendin' is like love is a drug, jonesing, needing a hit, like love as an addiction, fiending. There's another one like "Freak You." Like I was like, I'm not gonna do that to my Patreon members. I'm not gonna make them read those lyrics. Although it would be fun to do. But Jenny's gonna be here to do this with us, and we can't wait to freak you out again, because we know, Ben, that you were in Friendswood in high school, but me and Jenny were talking about our school dances, because her and I both went to some pretty urban schools, and we got culturally diverse at our dances, and you did not. And we can't wait to hit you with some more of that next week.
Oh, it's gonna be a sexy episode. I'm ready for a sexy episode.
Did you like Jodeci? Did you listen to Jodeci ever?
I only really knew the name Jodeci. Like, there's I mean, I've no doubt that there's plenty of songs that that I know that I just don't know. Was like PM Dawn was pretty big when I was when it comes to like 90s R&B. That's the first thing that comes to mind. So
yeah, it's gonna be like I want to do the good deep dive into the like 90s R&B, and how a lot of it started with gospel, and they talk about the New Jack Swing, and I'm like, what's that? Like, there's a lot from Dianne to learn between now and next week. So we're doing that next week. Special thank you to Chuck Savage and Eddie Hawkins for our amazing intro music, and to Sara Wessling for our Guilty Pleasures vocals. If you would like to support the Cash Bar, go to patreon.com/rockthecashbar. You will get if you want to pay $5 a month. There's no pressure on this, but if you want to, $5 a month will give you some koozies and some cool stickers, and you'll get early access to every episode, and you will get the chance to vote on every other song that we cover. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday with Jenny Johnson and some Jodeci.
Yes. Boga.